Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
So we've got a really, really special episode of the Plant-Based Podcast today because we've got our very favourite Ellen stand-in because I myself, Michael, am at the IPM Essen event, which is the largest trade show for flowers and floriculture in the world, I believe. And I'm here with my good friend and sometime colleague, Nat Porter. So, would you like to introduce yourself and why are you at IPM Essen?
Hello, hi, yes, I'm Natalie Boynton, actually, 18 months married, only just changed my name
different
professionally.
Names everywhere,
That's okay.
That seems like a drug dealer, have to say.
It's all good.
Or witness protection.
I run, with my family, an annual plants nursery on the northwest coast. We're called Happy Plants, so I'm here professionally, although it's always nice to take out a little window and check in with my good friend Mr. Perry here.
Well, we did this last year, and it was great because we just compared notes and had a lovely gossip about everything we'd seen. You've had a full day here. I've had 2 full days, so we should have loads of stuff to have a little natter about. Have a nat with natter. Oh, you can't make this stuff up, can you?
It's a podcast in itself. I have a question for you first.
What?
Now, I've just waited outside this little greenhouse with you for 5 minutes, and in that time...
I made you stand outside to enjoy the sky, didn't I? Because you've got to do that at a trade show.
But I think 4 or 5...
Oh, God, there's hiker duck.
I think 4 or 5 passers-by stopped you for selfies.
Oh, really?
Or, I don't know, was there an autograph there? Or,
no, there wasn't at all.
But, like, obviously, you've made a name for yourself in horticulture globally. Is that more so here? Is it more so in the UK? Is it just that we're in an environment here where there's like an absolute...
Good question. Are you interviewing me today?
No, I just have to ask.
I just got to say, this is Hiker, by the way. I just said, oh, God, Duck is Hiker. She works for the IPM, and when I'm here, she's kind of like my fairy godmother. She makes stuff happen.
Aww.
And here she is taking a wonderful picture of us. So pose. Oh, we're too late. But we're on video, so that's great. Anyway, your question. Interesting, because I think in UK, if someone recognises you, and of course, you know, I put a lot online and kind of like trying to promote plants and stuff, and I guess as a byproduct, you're promoting yourself with that as well. You can't there's no bones about that. I think in UK, people are probably a bit more weird and shy about it. They're not going to say anything, but they might message you afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think when you're dealing with different countries, different cultures, a lot is lost in translation, so it gives you a confidence to kind of just like bowl up to someone. So maybe that is the difference.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, doing more, you know, I do a lot of online but also offline work as well. So maybe your face gets a bit more known here and there. It's so hard to answer that question. Like, you're kind of skirting around not trying to have an ego with it. It's I'll get recognised.
It's really nice to see, though, because, like, I know, as your friend, how much you put into this and how much you put yourself out there. So just to see that as well, that recognition firsthand is really cool. But let's see if you've found anything decent around the show.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you. Well, I'm really pleased to be in this interview, actually. You really are taking charge. This is lovely. Okay, what do you want to learn? Let me tell you some facts and figures about IPM, first of all. It's the 41st edition, actually. 61% of the exhibitors are plants, did you know? Technology, 32%. Floristry, 7%. And the rest is garden features. Exhibitors from 45 different countries.
That's cool.
Visitors from more than 100 different countries as well. And a lot of like lovely features. And this Discovery Centre is now in a new location as well. So that didn't help with you getting lost, I'm sure. But so it's here in Hall 5. So loads more space. We've got the podcast studio, obviously the kind of garden centre, kind of inspiration area, which is great. And it's really close quite to the novelties. And I've been doing tours each day of the novelty area. But to answer your question, one cool thing that came out from the PR, there was a little press event the other day. Have you seen, this is where we're like, have you seen? No. Dino snacks.
I just saw them literally now, and I was like,
Food for dinosaurs.
Yeah, my little
It's
boy's
amazing.
7, and he would be all over that.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely all in on anything.
Such a great way to sell to kids, because I love it, but Venus flytrap, I'm kind of over that. It's like so predictable. So predictable. Dinosaur food is amazing. And I met the growers there as well. They've got a display over in Hall 2. And it's just great. And do you know the story over there?
No, go on.
Like, the marketing manager is the lady's 5-year-old.
Oh, amazing.
It's so cool.
Oh, I should do that.
Because he's giving her feedback. He's kind of like, Mummy, a dinosaur wouldn't look like that. Or it wouldn't do that. It's like, it's amazing.
That's really cool.
Really
I
great
had that on
story
my list
behind
as
this.
well. I'm glad that's come. I also, they've got little, I think the pot inverts and becomes a volcano or something. I made Sarah wear it as a hat briefly. So that was fun as well. And like, even as an older child, I had a nice time with engaging with the product.
So where do I start with new plants? I mean, let's go right from the beginning. I'll run through all 400.
I think I said to you last year as well, but like plants fall weirdly for me here because it's not. Most of the things we're seeing here, with the exception of primroses and pansies, they're out of season. So how they look here isn't how they'd necessarily look if they grow in my nursery. So I could get myself...
So that doesn't mean anything to me.
I could get myself really excited about something because, like, a lot of the time when you're this far into a career in what we do, what you're excited by is like a slightly better white calibraco or something.
But that can make a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But like here, you kind of have to treat it as a plant catalogue that you're looking at a picture, but you don't actually know what shape it will make, whether every flower on the bench will flower at the same time. So whereas you said that there's a smaller percentage of this place that's about like automation and solutions, that's more of my reasons for being here. But it doesn't mean I don't get excited about plants. I just have to a little bit.
So by ultimately, you mean the machinery? So.
Yeah, there's some seriously cool kit going on out there.
Really?
You could spend
that to me is, maybe you need to tour me around Hall 3, is it?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean much to me. And to be honest, when I'm in there, I'm looking out for primroses. And it really is. I found a new primrose in there once.
They move around on the conveyor belts, as it. Yeah, no. If I could do a supermarket sweep in there, like my bill would be into the millions quickly. Because some of these solutions are like $300-400 grand a machine. I just saw a really cool one actually with TTA and with Selector, where rather than a plug.
Oh, I know.
Did you see it?
Yeah,
and it's like a pouch, like a little
not even rooted in any growing medium.
Exactly. So like bare root, but not bare root.
Insanely cool.
So cool. But like to use that solution, you either hand stick cuttings, which is massively inefficient on labour costs, or you buy a several £100,000 machine. So it's kind of all over the place. Essen is about getting exciting, but being realistic. Because I actually have to turn these things into commercial.
But it could inspire you in another way.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
to make something different happen.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, because machinery is the last hall I would go in.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean much to me.
No, it can make a huge difference. Software as well. A lot of time today talking about computer programs that can help me slightly better program. Yeah, how long each plant.
Because your nursery obviously is it Cheshire? No, what is it?
Formby.
Formby.
Yeah.
What county is that?
Merseyside. Like Merseyside, Lancashire, like this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How automated is your nursery then for listeners?
It's probably one of the more automated ones in the UK. But if you compare it to any Dutch nursery, you think, wow, we're absolutely in the dark ages with it. But yeah, no, we have a serious amount of kit there. We built a new site back in 2021, and as much money went into the machinery and conveyor belts in particular in the walls as the walls themselves. So we like to, you have to be, to do bedding on a scale that you can afford to do it, you have to be seriously efficient. But it's a lot different because we have a lot more complex sort of Tetris of products rather than the Dutch nurseries are one product for the whole nursery. And,
True.
Yeah.
But you must get a lot of inspiration in the Netherlands.
For sure.
Then. Yeah,
for sure. But it is always just about and be realistic about it. But yeah.
But why is the UK less automated, less open to the new ideas? Is it affordability, or is it not looking at long-term affordability?
Well, the Dutch have long-term government support in horticulture that we don't have.
Okay.
When things got really ropey in COVID, the Dutch government went, right, straight away, there's a fail-safe fund here.
Because they recognised it was the third biggest industry, right?
I think so that's a big part of it, because our government won't really give us any stability. Like, we don't know what the substrate situation with peat's going to look like in 3 years.
Is there an industry that does have stability?
There's definitely those that have more than us, but our government isn't necessarily there for us in the way that the Dutch one is, and we don't know what the labour situation is going to be like. We don't know what the import-export situation is. But I think the main reason is that when you produce a plant in Holland, a lot of the time it's sold in bulk, or it goes through the market. You distract me.
I'm sorry about Heike's over there making me laugh, doing something silly with headphones. She's always doing something crazy. She's so creative, though, honestly.
I think one of the big reasons is that a lot of the time in the Netherlands, the plants are going through an intermediary to get to their end user. Yeah. So that might be that they're going to the obviously the Dutch market with the sold on the clock or sold through a vendor. So when we're creating 2 trolleys that we're delivering to a garden centre, it's all our product. And it has to be a mix of products because nobody wants 2 trolleys of the same thing. But when the Dutch are dispatching, a lot of the time they're sending a full artic of one product and somebody else is mixing it, whether that's the market or an intermediary. So I think it's a lot easier in Holland to pick a lane and stick in the lane, whereas we have to build a range that fills the whole 2 trolleys at any given time. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, totally.
So if you're doing like over there, like some of the nurseries over there, I saw one with like 14 million hellebores in one go in the same pot size, then you can afford the machine that spaces hellebores and plants hellebores. But we've got we could have, on a busy week, we could have 130 different products going out at the same time. So it's hard to pick which machine you're going to use that fits. There's not many machines that fit them all. So they tend to be very specific, the Dutch nurseries, or a lot more specific than we are. So they do a lot of one thing and then it goes through like a mixing station, whereas we're doing a little bit of each thing because there's no mixing stations in the UK.
And I guess also here they tend to like the conveyor belts double up as catwalks as well.
Ours double up as cake conveyor belts, if you will.
Well, I have to say, I was in a Zoom meeting with Plantline because I just put together this catwalk show for Plantline, an export company in the Netherlands. And we were on a Zoom call, I think back in November. I was like, let's do a catwalk. Then how do we make that happen? And I don't know how the idea came, but I wonder if it was the conveyor belt from your cake at your wedding in the back of my mind. Have we talked about a fashion show? I
think we have. I think it's definitely us, isn't it? It's in our territory. Cake is my priority, so I think it was. But I literally going over to Martin.
More savoury.
Going to Martin Stoltz in the Netherlands and saying, "Hey, can you make me an adapter so that I can send cake around the corners of my £250,000
Is that because you needed corners?
Because it went round like a yo sushi on ours.
Because that's what I'd like to do next time. Because we just had up and down.
Yeah.
But to have it going around the audience like models would,
if you speak to Martin Stoltz, they have the right adapter. It was like a big operation. We had little colour-coded bows, so if you wanted a chocolate cake, you had a red bow. And then it was really funny because I remember we had Irisium wallflower sugar rush at the time. Not Irisium, but wallflower sugar rush at the time. And I remember the cakes doing a little tour and then coming. You could just see them half an acre away going through the wallflowers and then coming back round.
That's so cool. Oh my God. Yeah. So I wonder if in the back of my mind that was our inspiration.
Subconsciously. We bring out the best in each other.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So new plants, have you seen some cool stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen it in a photo, but it's the first time in real life I've seen the Doom and Dahlia. Summer bees salmon.
I haven't been on Doom.
So beautiful.
Rubbish.
It's so beautiful. And because they'd already released it in a catalogue, they've kind of got another version next to it where they're like, oh, this is the new thing. And I'm like, yes, but I haven't seen that yet. Because I don't think they had it at Flower Trials last year, so it really is the first time in person. And that's
Dahlia summer bees.
Salmon. It's the salmon in particular. I mean, we've had a red and a purple for a couple of years now, and they're really nice, but the salmon is just knockout.
But also on Bacon Camp, the dahlias with in the chocolate boxes, they're really cool with that dark foliage as well.
Do you think they're Marmite?
No, I think they're... Oh, look at that.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Boring picture, but I'm sure it's a lovely plant. Sorry.
I think that's the thing, is I'd seen a picture of it and I was like, that's got promise, and then in real life it's knockout. Yeah, no, do we think people like a chocolate foliage?
Yeah, definitely. And it gets better in bright sun as well. But even regardless of that foliage, those flower colours are amazing. The peachy one, I think it is. But all four have got a really good merit, to be honest.
Selector have got some... Dame, they call them, and we had the first one last year called Aruna, and it's almost like black foliage, and then a really dark, like really rich red velvet flower, and they've brought some more colours out in that as well. So I think they're going to kind of be in the same space. So
I've been really kind of like, I've been very scattergun with what I've looked at so far.
Yeah.
So, but Selector, poinsettia are not really your thing, are they?
No.
They've got the fantasy style, the tie-dye type.
Yeah.
And they've got the orange now.
Yeah.
And also a pink to come next.
The supermarkets in the UK have really like ruined, isn't probably the right word, but poinsettias have been massively compromised by supermarket supply because people expect them to fail, themselves to fail with a poinsettia. Like there's no consumer confidence in how they're going to get on with a poinsettia. Because even if they're grown exactly the same way, a garden centre would know not to put them by a drafty door and wrap them up in a blanket to get them to your car. They're that dramatic. And then you can't expect that from...
But you know, some of these, like, I know Princettia is obviously less susceptible to the cold as well. But do you know this new one from Lazzari, the Papageno?
No.
It's this autumny coloured one. I did some work with it a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And that has a slightly different genetics that is a lot less fussed about the cool temperatures and drafts. And I think that works nicely as an autumn poinsettia. Yeah. It's very cool, actually. Yeah. I suggested that to the breeder earlier, and he wasn't too against it, actually. No. Because the colours are kind of pink and yellow and not Christmassy at all.
I've seen that.
But I think that's going to slot into another very interesting market. Because I'd love to see Princettia pushed more for outdoor. But then it's a small window, I know, but it's a fun window. Yeah. But anyway, this Papageno, I gave some to two of my friends, actually, and they... You know, when friends are growing poinsettias, like they're ultimately going to fail. Sorry, that's so rude. But
no,
you know what I mean?
It is though. It's a bunch of flowers. It's got an end date.
And one of them went away for holiday, and it came back, and it was still looking amazing.
There you go.
In the cold, abandoned, barely watered. This Papageno was really performing. It was fantastic.
But it needs to be like a relaunch when we get to the point that we have the confidence in which ones it is. Because the customer kind of, like in the same way as an industry, we'll say, oh, we tried that 20 years ago, it didn't work. And sometimes you have to consciously take a step back from that. And I think it's the same for consumers.
Totally. I always think, and I said this today in our seminar for Hort Week on why do we need new plants, I feel like everything we did 20 years ago, we can do it again because we've got new audiences, new eyes, new ways to launch stuff, social media. On social media, they were doing, what were they? There was a kind of small-scale hashtag called Poinsettia Prowl, where people were hunting down the new different colours. And the place that had most of them was, I think, Aldi and Lidl. Yeah, which was really interesting.
They can really be at the front of the
other colours are out there, and they are trickling through a little bit.
See, that's an interesting... point though, because with houseplants that we know that it's a collector's market a lot of the time with plants, and the price is driven by how collectible things are. But how do you bring collectability to something more
short term,
like a treasure hunt?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's more treasure hunt rather than collect the set, isn't it? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But interesting what you said about houseplants. We're going to take that avenue now. I love that we're like a kind of like a spider brain chart thing, but relatively organised. With houseplants, I think people are choosing, also rare and unusual, but there's the other end of the scale where people are choosing houseplants for their decor. Is it decor or decor? People always take the mick when I say decor. I'm sure
they're both. I think,
It's because I'm really posh that it's very hard for me to say stuff colloquially.
You are very posh. We've been saying for a while, haven't we?
Hang on, I haven't finished my sentence yet.
Oh, sorry. If I don't say it, it'll fall out of my head.
No. It's not how we behave on this podcast. Is it not? I've lost it now. Decor. Yeah. I think people are choosing plants that fit into their lounge and their new makeovers. That's what I want to say.
But I did that as well, though, because I've swapped thoughts and I've probably the other one will disappear. I bought a parlour palm because it looked really good in a corner of my living room, but it was by a radiator and it was just not a good decision.
Yeah, and that's where faux can come into its own. For sure. I am not against faux if it is disposed of sensibly, of course, but also it's a great option. What is better? Someone growing a plant that then dies, they lose confidence, they wasted money on the plant. Yeah. You wasted all those resources growing the plant that ultimately died. They buy another one, does the same, Yeah. Faux plant, much better. Yeah. Much better, definitely.
Yeah, because a lot of the mental health benefits of plants are the aesthetic benefits as well.
Yeah, absolutely right.
But the decorating
because the air quality difference is minimal. Do you know what I mean, if we're honest? Yeah.
Don't be saying that.
No, but it's true.
The air cleaning plants is researched by NASA, according to that sign over there. Those plants really do clean.
Yeah, I know, but you do need a few. Yeah. But I think sometimes the expectation of that is like we need to be sensible with that sometimes. And but I do feel people are at the stage where They buy a new sofa, they buy a new coffee table, they buy a plant that suits that room.
It's the same with...
Which is really cool,
It's the same with outdoor. We've said for years, like in our business, we have one set of products for the gardeners and another set of products for garden decorators. I call them the green-fingered and the clean-fingered.
Oh my God, Nat, you're so good, honestly.
But this clean-fingered gardener, I think a lot of people who took up gardening in COVID and didn't have any previous context of how to do it, but they did have an interest in interior decorating that had come from Instagram influencers, Mrs. Hinch and things. And we suddenly got, at that point, we were in this era of your house is grey, you have scatter cushions and a patterned rug.
I think a lot of people still got grey houses.
Their gardens became grey with scatter cushions and a rug.
Yeah.
And the plants were an ornament. Yeah. So we have to say, and we have to remove ourselves from perennials and annuals a little bit sometimes and just say it's a seasonal decoration.
Yeah, that's
and poinsettias is definitely true.
Clean-fingered, green-fingered.
Yeah, but for me, like a lot of like the dahlias and things, and we do a lot of things in a 5-litre pot. A lot of things in a 5-litre pot are being put on the patio as a decoration, and they're replaced by season, whether they're a perennial and they would have grown back after winter or not. That customer doesn't care. They've spent 15 quid. They've had 3 months out the product. It's great.
Because I was having some thoughts about bedding yesterday, and we also talked about it today in the Hort Week seminar. Is like, and this, when I'm going to ask you this question, I'm really talking about gardeners, green fingers, Do you think there's going to be a lot of pressure on bedding, sustainability-wise,
Yeah.
And I feel like people, because also generations change, I think people won't be planting bedding in the ground anymore.
Yeah.
I think they will be moving to, as you see at Kew Gardens, moving to Verbena bonariensis or kind of like more long-term perennials, prairie style. Let's call it Pete Udolph style. I think they'll be moving more and more to that style of stuff, really. And I think the bedding, the plants will still be around, but we will have much more used as container plants.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think bedding won't almost exist. Bedding, if anything, will be forever bedding. Things like alstroemeria that will flower for 5 months, year on year.
Yeah.
So forever bedding. I think that is a new sector almost.
I lean away from the word bedding because I don't think anybody's filling out flower beds with it.
No.
We, as an example, one customer that we supply who's got about 20 garden centres, they used to buy 120,000 packs of bedding a year, and it's now less than a fifth of that, and that's only happened in the 10 years. And they've not taken their business elsewhere. They've just, that market has suppressed or gone to supermarkets. We definitely think of it as more, like you said, or hanging baskets, planters, refill your concrete urn, your that kind of.
Definitely using more containers and encouraging people with balconies to plant more.
Away from the financially most accessible access to plants is entry level. Pick me up. Joy is annuals.
What sort of stuff would you make more profit on, perennials or bedding or something?
So it's really hard to know. We haven't moved to perennials in any sort of significant enough way.
Things like that,
yeah.
Right?
So we're trying to control our supply chain a bit more. I think is more what that's about. And some things that we know will be under pressure for imports with with the borders being a lot more difficult to navigate than they used to be. We're growing in house. We know there's going to be sustainability pressures. So having a shoe in on perennials helps from that view as well. But I think they're both different versions of chaos. So to try to run an annuals nursery is just mayhem. We have 11 acres and we can fit up to 15 million plants a year through 11 acres, where if you're looking at a perennials nursery, the same space might run 3 or 4. It's a quarter of the stock going in and out. So you have to make 4 times as much from each cycle, I guess, till we can equal up. But I mean, we're embedding because that was where our business has sort of started from, and it doesn't mean it's the end of our journey. And I still think that the happy plants ethos of like being the Crayola of the garden that can come from a lot of different things.
I just think they'll be used in different places,
for sure.
like containers, and hopefully as more people living in apartments, we can entice them to plant their balconies more and more and more. I just think in the ground will be a very different type of plant.
I've got a young garden, so some of my herbaceous perennials are only 18 months old. So I currently will use bedding annuals to plug the gaps.
Meantime filling.
While the others fatten up. But long term.
Fatten up.
Yeah. And then cool. It's window boxes, it's hanging baskets, it's the little embellishments, it's the cherry on tops that come from the colouring in.
We still didn't talk about any plants. How we managed that?
No, we did. We talked about one.
What was that?
The dahlia.
Oh, the dahlia.
There you go.
Okay. What else?
I
got a whole notebook to go through.
Did you see lemon fingers?
Buddha hand.
It might be called that. I've called it lemon fingers.
Yeah.
So it's a lemon in the shape of fingers.
Yeah, have you not seen those before?
I haven't seen
Buddha's
that before.
hand, yeah.
No, it made me laugh. Lemon fingers. Is
You're a lemon finger.
I like that.
Do you like tarbagia?
I don't know what tarbagia is. I'm sorry.
La.
I'm not an actual born. I'm not.
Oh no!
a trained
Don't talk perennials, right? Let me find a bedding plant here. She'll be happy. No, it's kind of like. It's a grassy-looking plant in the allium family, and it has the most beautiful little perfumed flower on the top.
When you say perfumed, you've also said allium.
Well, it's the amazing plant because the leaves smell of garlic, but the flower smells of honey.
Oh, okay.
And there's a new one called flamingo that has red stems with the green, which is really, really
Sounds
sexy,
like a cough
actually.
remedy. Honey and garlic. Is it?
It's kind of two personalities on one plant, I would say.
There we go.
Definitely. Where am I? What's that? That's my notes from the awards last night. Oh, you would have loved the display that we made.
Would I?
Yeah. I'll tell you about that afterwards. I don't know what I'm going to impress you with, actually.
Illusia's just still so impressive, though, isn't it? I know we've seen Illusia loads of times.
I know.
But every time you see it,
there's
it's
some new
just
colours on the way as well.
Hopefully.
Indoor, outdoor. And the amount of flower on it.
It's just...
Some of these cyclamen, I've got to say, this is controversial. Some of them have got too much flower.
Yeah. You're not supposed to call it cyclamen.
No? Why not?
They are
Illusia.
stepping away from the preconceptions and the stigma.
Is that definitely?
Yeah,
well, I think the whole look of it doesn't scream cyclamen. If you didn't know, I don't think the average consumer that isn't kind of plant savvy would recognise the leaf necessarily. So I think you kind of go into it blind a little bit. Yeah. But that's actually, before we talk about new plants a little bit more, tell us about the project, because I don't know if we've covered this on the podcast. The Launch Success Programme that you did with the 2 groups of young people. Tell us all about that, because you actually helped them to launch a begonia, which will be launched this summer at Gardeners World Live. And I was at the final Dragon's Den Star, where they kind of like the 2 teams pitched their naming, their like.
Did I show you the most recent version? Because they've come on quite a lot. So I can't tell you too much about the brand, but what we did.
Tell us about the concept.
Yeah, so I run with a group of friends the Young People in Horticulture Association, which was formed 5 years ago, and has just passed, I think, 1,100 members thereabouts, which is pretty cool. Nice. And part of the problem, I think, with our industry is that people either learn about plants or business, and I wanted to start teaching some business skills and some marketing skills to people who already had the sciencey interest in plants, really. So we, I guess, crowdfunded across a few different companies and put the funds together to run a programme where we have 10 delegates who are across our membership. Some work in garden centres, some are gardeners out in bigger estates, and some of them are from like graphic design backgrounds, some career changes, and we have 10 of them, and we took them in July over to the Netherlands to Bekenkamp Plants, and they saw how plants are produced. We went to Flora Media.
That doesn't happen enough, does it?
They went to Flora Media and they saw what the work that goes into producing a label. They were presented for the first time with a Begonia relatio variety that Bekenkamp hadn't had a name for. They were really lucky because it was a standalone, so they didn't need to name it.
Smaller flower, isn't it? It's very delicate type of elatia.
But it doesn't need to fit in with a series. It doesn't need to be named after someone's pet dog. Or sometimes you get in and it's like, oh, actually, we're doing girls' names beginning with a V. So they had like an unrestrained access.
I'll never get that.
It can be. And then we brought them back to the UK, and they had some master classes with masters like Mr. Michael Perry.
We did a naming masterclass.
Jane Lawler, Eve Kerrigan.
Don't call it Trevor, basically.
And we took them through the whole journey up to, in October, they had a group of 10 experts across the industry, and they had to deliver a pitch. So 2 teams of 5 delivered a different version of what they wanted to do with this product.
It was such a cool day.
It was a cool day. And then now they've kind of got to bring together the winning elements of each pitch. And it will be launched at Gardeners World Live in June through British Garden Centres. So it's exclusive to British Garden Centres. Only 10,000 units available in year 1, which sounds like a lot until you say they've got 70 stores. There's like 100 pots per store. It's not a lot.
And will there be? There'll obviously be branded that they've devised, but will there be then POS telling people about the project?
Yeah,
as well?
That's what we're working on at the moment, and a QR code. One of the things that they came across was that in florography, begonia means gratitude, and they decided that they would have this as gratitude towards yourself, like self-love. So the QR code on the label, I don't think I'm giving away too much saying this, but it says how to care for your plant and yourself. And they've linked it into this like whole take care of yourself vibe.
And did they decide to go indoor or outdoor or both?
They're doing both. Yeah. So the label will have I guess a costume change within itself. If that's cryptic, but you can turn up at Gardeners World Live to see what that means.
for it to be done as well.
Yeah, for sure. Illusia has done the same thing really, really well. Like, it's both
at the Garden Centre when we had the seminars, it was there, sold outdoors and indoors.
Yeah. So no, it's really cool. We're really excited by it, and hopefully in the future, when people are hiring for the big jobs, they'll look at people that actually know about plants and business. Because otherwise we end up with the CEO of Pets at Home running our biggest industry with the most sway on the industry. Biggest business with the most sway on the industry, and they don't actually have the plants.
So what's going to be your next big project after that then?
I don't know, they just arrive in my brain. No, I mean, my business itself is a huge amount of work has gone into that and will continue to go into that. The YPHA obviously is a huge passion project of mine, and it's only getting more and more influential, I guess, in the industry. Like, we've got seats in big committees now that report directly to government and can actually help shape policy in the future. So it's not just like a little friendship club. It's like we're actually making big moves with that.
That's cool.
That's really,
Somehow, when no one was looking, we all became grown-ups.
I know, but we couldn't, in good conscience, sit back and watch people continue to call things purple with white edge, could we? And that was what was happening. Like, we're trying to say, have you seen that really cool new variety? And if it's called Purple Sun or Night Sky, they're quite communicable. But when it's called Yellow Improved, you hear like, oh.
I think things very honestly need two names as well. Because to the grower, they're not interested in it being called Heavenly Sunset.
Yeah,
they need to know what it looks like.
That today, I got a label proof today, and we've got a new Hendrix osteospermum range, Senorita, and he's got a beautiful one in there called Mia, and I've put on the label Senorita Mia, brackets orange for the growers, but the label company has taken that and printed Senorita Mia, brackets orange, on the label. But there are absolutely instances where if I said, we're growing Calabricoa white again, the growers would go, but if it says white improved on the label, they're going to look at it differently. But there definitely needs to be a separation.
Oh my gosh. Tabletop Hebes.
Tabletop Hebes. I mean, I love Hebes.
Little dinky ones come from Kuda, which is a German grower.
How dinky?
Really? Only staying about so tall.
Yeah.
So tabletop in the middle of a patio table.
Cute.
Wouldn't that be cool? So, tabletop Hebes. What else? The big flowered euphorbias. Like the Queen series. Like the... What are they called? Crown of Thorns. The ones that used to have thorns that have got this kind of like lovely flower at the top. Some of those coming through Denmark with really big flowers and no thorns at all.
Beautiful.
They're pretty nice.
Yeah.
Camellia, prostrate camellia.
I just love camellia.
Waterfall type.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Pretty.
Ooh. Star-shaped hellebores. Do you do hellebores?
So we just may be making some small moves towards hellebores for one customer.
There's a lot of good hellebores around now, isn't there?
Yeah, that's the thing. And there's a lot of things like this where you think, that's a good idea to grow that because we've got a gap in the season, but everyone else thinks the same. So you kind of have to make sure you've...
But also to the consumer, isn't that amazing that hellebores would have been relatively unknown and now they feel like an essential purchase in the winter months, don't they?
We had some trials and we gave them to some of our team and they've had them in their houses over winter as well, like a hellebore houseplant.
Well, little Niger one you can do that with, really, in a cool room.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you see the Pop Eye osteospermum range?
So we had an exclusive trial on these last year as well.
There's a lot of interesting colours and the plum vein one.
Yeah,
really
there are
unique.
some really nice ones, and their selling point is that they don't close at night as well. So when the light level drops, you have the full flower impact.
That's interesting. And some of the colours are kind of like along the theme of Purple Sunset, but different.
Have you
and that's a whole collection then.
Oh, we had a trial last year from Selector, actually, when you say about Purple Sun, and it was called Pink and Orange, and we only had one tray, and it sung to you across the nursery. It pulled you across the nursery to it.
That's cool.
And I said to them, could we call it Summer Sun? Because of the Purple Sun tie-in. Again, that's one where you have a suffix and you need to work with that.
Yeah,
so
true.
it was going to be Pink and Orange Sun, and I persuaded them Summer Sun.
Safari Sun.
Malibu Sun would have been quite cute as well.
That's good.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't have that idea till just then, and the labels are printed.
Malibu, what a sexy word.
So the Summer Sun is coming in this year, and it is like fades from Barbie pink to yellow, and it's beautiful. I
Fades
think
from pink to yellow?
Yeah, I think it's
You're
going
mad.
to be I think it's going to be better than Purple Sun. I think it's going to be an absolute showstopper, and only a couple of people, also known as me, have got it this year. So there you go.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's one that I should mention.
Definitely. Begonia Megadot.
Wow,
Like
it's
a
good
giant
name.
leaved maculata type. Really great. Oh my
So
gosh.
Begonia is obviously in the project that we're working on, and I think the tie-in for you, or the segue into me talking about the project that I didn't use, was the Illusia isn't called a cyclamen. Well, the Begonia that our launch
that was
success
it.
team
That
have...
was why we were there.
The launch success team have been asked to launch a Begonia Relatior, and they are not using the word Begonia anywhere on the label because they think the connotation of Begonia is... little old
Interesting.
ladies, but then you get all these like Rex type begonias and the ones like houseplant types that aren't seen as frumpy. Like that was almost the stigma. It was like a Phalaenopsis orchid stigma
there's no
from
right
10
or
years
wrong
ago.
because there's very different consumers out there, but we can flex in different directions to make the most of it all. Really,
Yeah, but I don't think begonias are uncool. I was quite surprised because we didn't tell them when they applied for the program what the plant was, and then when they joined the program and we were like, right, you're going to be launching a begonia, he was like, oh,
Really?
I was like, oh, you lot.
But that was probably the best reaction.
Yeah, and then
because then you could bring it around.
And they've had to go on the same journey that they're going to take their consumer on, from going, why would I buy a begonia to actually I need that.
That is perfect.
Thing that isn't called a begonia.
Next time, lobelia.
Lobelia aeronis. Yeah, that would be a fun rebrand, wouldn't it?
Well, anything else you've seen that you want to chat about, or?
Just loads of friends. That's the problem with Essen. It's
seen
not the
enough
problem
plants
at
yet,
all.
girl?
I know. No, honestly, loads and loads of. I just love coming here. Like people in horticulture are just so nice.
Because it's those conversations that are like magic as much as anything, isn't it?
And there's there are obviously things that we keep to ourselves for commercial gain and whatever, but there's so much sharing. One really cool thing now I've just said about commercial gain. Modiform have a prototype on their stand for this might be really boring, I'm sorry if it is, but it's a plant tray that can be used for any size plant. Sorry.
No, not really. So
it's like a crate almost, but you have a cardboard insert that turns it into a 13 centimetre tray and a different cardboard insert that makes it a 10 and a half. So this is working towards a world where we don't use a single-use plastic tray to get the plants to a garden centre, because it's a crate, and the crate comes back to the grower, and the grower puts a cardboard insert in and sends 10 and a halves into the garden centre. And so like the CC trolleys where they're swapped empties for full ones, a bit like the blue pallet system, if that's more approachable. But that's really cool, and it might not sound cool at the moment, but the Netherlands are under a lot of pressure to not use any single-use plastic, especially if they're shipping within their own country. And in a couple of years, it's going to be illegal to use single-use plastic to ship within your own country. So it's a solution that's come about because of that. But there's some really cool ways that could, I'm all about sustainability when it's genuine. I don't like virtue signaling. I don't like people saying they're doing the right thing without researching the consequences. But that's one that I can actually see. It's going to take a lot of single-use plastic out. Is you
really
looking at me saying, why is she on about boring plastic trays?
No one's judging you here, Nat. Not yet.
Different context, isn't it?
Where I was going to go, there's an orchid company in Germany called Hassinger Orchids.
Okay.
And they've got a new product called Corkio. And it's really cool. It's and this is I'm thinking of this because it's plastic-free way to provide houseplants. And it's a glass cube, and inside that cube you've got a cube of cork.
Right.
And the cork has got a hole, and the plant inside, the plug plant. And the plant grows there in the cork.
That's cool.
It's small stuff like succulents like Haworthia, Echeveria, and also like Oncidium, like the tiny orchids that they do.
Yeah.
But that's very interesting because that's not it's a plant growing in cork, and things like succulents don't need fertilizer, etc., etc. So it's a pretty interesting little thing, and very decorative, and really one of the ways, you know, these suppliers are looking to reduce, you know, plastic in what they provide, and also change the different type of growing medium as well.
Change the way people use plants as well, with stuff like that as well. Yeah,
I think because plants are definitely going more into this decorative angle of things, isn't it?
Yeah,
because there's also I don't know if terrariums are really your bag, but there's like ones with lights in coming through quite strong now.
Have you seen the terrarium handbag?
No.
You just said terrarium's your bag.
It's a step too far.
I think it was used on one of the catwalks. I said to you last year that I thought the soiree should be a little necklace, because it's so tiny. You could have it as like a little charm on a necklace. But we have to look at any way to get the plants in front of the people that we want to realise how magic they are. That was a long run-on sentence. But we know the magic, but to get people to know the magic the way we do, you have to think outside the box.
And sometimes you need a novelty.
Yeah, for sure.
And it might be silly, you know. We talked in our whole week seminar about why do we need new plants. It was we talked about this new glow-in-the-dark petunia that was launched in US, and like whether that would be accepted in UK. Is it a novelty? Is it silly? But is it also a gateway into growing plants for people? What do you think around this?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's fascinating. It is fascinating, but I think it's a short burn, isn't it? And I don't necessarily think.
But if it piques interest,
no, if it makes somebody stop and digest what we're doing,
because there's not many natural plants that do that. But I feel, and I think we've talked about night sky before. Petunia night sky was really one of the first plants for a long time that really broke out the box.
See, I was spoiled because that was so good. That was my first week 24 trials, and the first place we walked into, I was like, "That's magic," and it's the best. We must be nearly 10 years into Petunia Night Sky now.
But it's just, you know, for anyone that doesn't know, it's this beautiful mauve petunia with spots all over it like a constellation.
Yeah.
And for many years, it was kind of like just seen as some weird diseased little specimen, but actually, it has a lot of magic. And I see that picture going viral on Instagram so often.
Yeah, that's the thing, though.
In a way that no fuchsia would. Sorry to say.
That was low blow.
But it's just really different and distinctive.
No. First of all, fuchsias are underrated, first of all, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah, that's your pitch point on fuchsias, isn't it? Yeah, sorry.
But no, like, I mean, when we grow something, we can grow 300,000-400,000 of it in a year, and I can get quite quickly saturated with it. And I sort of assume that everybody else is bored of it as well, and they're not.
Yeah, true.
And it's like my best friend would probably not have seen it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
we can get. Not fatigue in a bad way, but we can get used to seeing something and imagine everyone's seen it. Yeah, you're right. You're really right.
But also, fuchsias need a shout out because November, even my begonias had given up in my garden. Fuchsias still look fantastic. Till the first frost, they looked amazing. And I do think that they're massively underutilised. And I think when we talk about things being little jewellery charms, and they're super cute for that as well.
Well, let's unpack that a bit then with fuchsias. Like with fuchsias, could be done to make them interesting?
They're so versatile. That's the thing, is that you can have them in tiny pots, big pots, hanging baskets. You can have standards. There's so many different versions.
Did we not maximise on the window box fuchsia? What about calling them flowering topiary? What about using them indoors, short term on a windowsill?
Potential.
Basket ones, or really extolling the virtues of the hardy ones? Do we need some new hardy ones selected with different blooms?
The baskets that we had last year were like Chelsea flower show baskets. Honestly, like if we hung them in the middle of this greenhouse, they'd have a wingspan of 6 or 7 feet. They were phenomenal, and they sold really quickly. But I just think that most of the time it's not something that jumps off the shelf at you in the way that a primrose or a petunia does. It hasn't got that impulse, so it's one that you need to persuade the customer to give it a go. But
up facing, they've got impulse. Waltz, Jubiltine.
Yeah, love a bit of waltz.
You can't really better that,
love
can
a bit
you?
of waltz, Jubiltine.
But that's a cracking fuchsia that you wouldn't even imagine.
So we took some garden centre team members to the Ball Colgrave trials a couple of years ago with their business owner and whatnot, and we said, what was your favourite new thing you saw today? And it was waltz Jubiltine, and it's been around since 1984.
It's not always about the new stuff.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, we have like tried and tested, but we get on this treadmill of newness and a new this and a new that. that. And some of the things that have fallen off the back of the treadmill, you could have made more of a deal of. But because we're bored of them.
But it's also about timing as well.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we were trying to plug away salvias many years ago, but now is the time. People love salvias across social media, all sorts of stuff. So it is about timing, and that's impossible to predict as well.
One of the best things that came out of the Launch Success Programme, especially the visit to the Netherlands, is we have a girl who used to work in fashion, and the breeder over there was saying 5 years ago everyone wanted an orange version of this begonia. It's taken him 5 years to get to the orange version. Now no one wants it. And they were saying, basically, for example, if we decide that flares are in fashion next year, the fashion companies have to buy
plants
the
move
flares
much more slowly. They
have to buy the flares now, and then in a year they have to manipulate the media around them to make them come into fashion. So we have to start the breeding for something, and then in 5 years me and you have to start saying, oh, orange begonias, they're amazing, they're on EastEnders, they're on but you have to infiltrate the media to control the trend that you've already committed to a year before.
But also I guess once it's in a portfolio, it's there. Do you know what I mean as well?
Breeder's
portfolio, once they've got the orange.
That fashion handles it by manipulating the market to what they've already ordered. And how do we do that as horticulture? I think it's a really cool question. I don't think it's an easy one, but if you could do it, my God, you could. But
I never know if there's trends or not, because I feel like we got to say what the trends are in the moment to suit our narrative. No, that's so cynical. But what do you think? What do you think, really?
Perhaps. Well, I hadn't realised until this point that my fashion sense, perhaps not my fashion sense, because that's influenced by children's TV, but most people's that are fashionable's fashion sense is decided for them. I hadn't realised that before. Like, how subliminal is the world, and how much free will do we actually have?
Totally.
But
I often think that with plants, to be honest.
But if you want something to jump off a bench at you and say take you home, it's probably not a fuchsia, but it should be. And I think that's sad. But also it's a hard sell to get some. If a food looks really disgusting when you look at it, you're not going to pick it on the menu.
But times change, and you might have said this about dahlias 20 years ago.
I feel like dahlia is my spirit flower, though. I feel like.
But 20 years ago, no one would have touched them really, apart from our grandparents.
Yeah,
be honest,
they would have been considered as age.
Yeah, so that has really, and I just always wonder what's next. Chrysanthemums, too picky. Gladioli, too short-lived. Fuchsia, could be it.
So old it's new.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
I mean, roses have had a huge...
Nostalgia and familiarity. Yeah. Familiarity gives you confidence. Nostalgia makes you feel nice. They're good assets to kind of choose a plant by for a revival. So.
Well, the Hendricks family in particular are doing some phenomenal breeding in fuchsias, especially with the Bella fuchsias, and making them jump off the shelf at you more by having more flower on when they're smaller.
But how would they perform as a houseplant, I wonder, short term?
I'm trying to remember, because we definitely will have had them in the house at some point when I don't want to lose a pot.
Because that's interesting, because if I remember the houseplant books, in the mid-'80s when I was growing up, that I used to look at, my grandparents and such, and it was things like Cataraphus soiree was a houseplant.
Yeah.
And I'm sure fuchsias would have been listed as a potential houseplant.
Well, and definitely the type of begonias that we're using, the Selenia, the elater types, are that versatile as well.
Yeah, of course. So, Selenia would be happy on a windowsill all year.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Interesting.
Do you think flowering houseplants are going to have a...
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I'm thinking back to the books in the 80s. There was a lot more flowering houseplants there.
Yeah.
Have you seen triple flowered Kalanchoe from Slykeman?
I did see it. It's beautiful.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's got this blush pink to it. They really want it clear white, but I think the blush pink really makes it work, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like we just said before, if you've set that the brief is that you want to get to a white, sometimes you can discard things along the way. I know Bacon Camp had this the other year with they accidentally bred the first chocolate yellow dahlia.
Okay.
And they pretty much got rid of it. And one of their team was like, no, people will want to buy that. That wasn't what we were trying to breed. But it's an accidental.
But I guess there's a lot of pressures on them, isn't there?
Yeah,
really,
for sure.
From many different voices.
Yeah.
Costs, all sorts.
So we got to see the breeding facility last July. It was the first time I'd seen it, and it's the last time anyone will see it. They closed the doors on it. They sent an email out the day before saying, we're not going to let anyone in anymore. It's going to be top secret. And we were like, we're booked on the plane and we're going to be there in a bit. And they were like, okay, you can come in and then that's it. So it's
you
like,
love a drama, Nat.
No, but I don't feel like the general public knows the work that's gone in.
No,
to
not at all. And we were talking about this again in the seminar today.
Secret laboratory work.
And I feel like sometimes that's my life. What's the word? When you got, I don't know, my calling or something, to link all these different parts, botanic gardens to industry, to consumer, to what we're doing in the garden centre, to who's breeding it, why are they breeding it, do they talk to the consumer, or are they breeding for the grower to fit it on the trolley? But then what about the consumer? The consumer wants this, but they never get it because then it's too big for the trolley.
Yeah.
You know?
It is so nuanced, isn't it? And it is a complicated web that we have woven for ourselves.
It is, and it always will be.
Yeah.
You never go simplify it, but I just think we could... Yeah.
But how lucky are we
listen to more people and cross-fertilise a bit more.
It's like when you look...
Do not excuse the pun.
No, I love cross-pollination and cross-fertilisation comments. But when we look at the industry we're in and the product, inverted commas, that we have and the benefits that horticulture will bring to the world and the mitigations to the world problem that lie within what we're doing, we're backing a good cause here, surely. You know, like climate change, plant more trees, flooding, you know, it's like, it's not as easy as that, but overpopulation, find more efficient ways of growing in the same space,
and
blah,
plants
blah, blah.
will always be the answer.
Plants are the answer to a lot of things. Answer, not answer, by the way, just to be northern.
What did I say?
Answer. It's because you're dead southern.
Cute. I'm so posh. I would love to close the podcast now because we are coming to the end of our time. Oh my God, your little sad face. It's so sad. But I think we need to talk about food.
Oh.
We had some nice pretzels.
Celiac. Celiac in Germany is
one of them.
Not it. Oh. It is not. No, but I can see...
You're at a gluten-free trade show.
Oh, it's not.
What have you eaten? Fingernails?
Oh, God. Thanks for that. Chips and mayo. No, it's...
well, you're not dairy-free then?
No, no, thank God. But no, I mean, these places, they look after you, don't you? Every stand you've been on, you've had a coffee, so I've basically been alive on coffee.
I can't drink as much coffee these days, honestly. 2 in a day, and otherwise I'm just like, I don't even know what I am. I'm like, I can't feel my legs. So I've become more sensitive to it, honestly.
What have you eaten today, then? What's your...
we were filming with the IPM team this morning, and I had a sneaky burrito as we went round. I stocked up on breakfast, even though I went to a French breakfast this morning, but there was no croissants, actually.
That's not a French... Yeah, that's like...
Yeah, I wonder if they left them out the back. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But, and then later, I think I wanted a pretzel, but they were out, so I had a really weird tray of chips with like American melted cheese and like jalapenos on top.
Yeah.
It was so salty and weird.
Well. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, you know, some food you dream about for the rest of your life. Some food you have nightmares about for the rest of your life.
So that wasn't the prime choice.
Anything else to add, young Natalie? You've got 1 minute to do that in.
Oh no, I just think it's amazing, isn't it? And I sometimes
it's amazing.
No, but when I'm at home and I try and explain Essen to people who are in the industry or outside of the industry, Sarah, who's with me today, it's her first time here. I say it's a bit like Epcot. Like, you know, you have the little tour
Disney.
around the world. You have the little pockets. It's like I rang Sarah before, where are you? She said, I'm in Spain. Oh, no, hang on, I've just got to India. You know, it's like you move around these little zones, and I think it's the most context you can get in one building. It's kind of a stretch to call it one building, but, you know, totally. it's amazing. And if anybody ever has the chance to be here, it will just blow your brain.
I would love to bring in a little group of consumers, home gardeners.
And the value we would get from that as well, because we are so insular, and we do say, we've tried that once and it didn't work, and we do say, we've seen that 1,000 times.
You know what I mean? So,
if anyone wants to come to Germany in January.
Oh, la la.
Yeah, it's quite warm today, actually, though, so we'll forgive it.
It is. Usually it's snowy, isn't it? But it's very nice.
There you go.
There you go. Well, since we didn't start talking about the weather on an English podcast, we'll finish talking about the weather. Anything else to add on the weather? Since you saw the sky in the last few minutes.
Thank you for that context, honestly.
Oh, no worries. Thank you, Nat. It's been really lovely to chat with you. And, I feel you're like my spirit animal.
And you've got your YPHA ambassador badge now as well.
I have. Where is it? It's on my doodah.
As well. So
all right, give us an advert for YPHA.
it's the Young People in Horticulture Association. Anybody who is aged 35 or under and works or is training towards a career anywhere in the banner of horticulture. We have monthly seminars online. We meet up 2 or 3 times a year. We play crazy golf and drink beers sometimes, but a lot of the time it's about progress and inspiration and engagement. But a lot of people come into a trade show like this. There's one girl who's quite a new member. She's never met anyone from YPHA before, and it's quite intimidating to come into something like this. And she put a message in the Discord, and Sarah messaged her like, we'll come see you. So it's nice. Friends, it's context, it's answers without asking your elders. And it's just really cool. I'm really proud of it.
That's really cool, darling.
Yeah, and we're happy to have you as one of our ambassadors.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you for being here. Ding dong.
You're welcome.
See ya.
Bye.
The music for the Plant-Based podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.